show is on FX Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern. Welcome to Wrexham. Oh, we love it. Rob McElhenney, actor, producer, writer, businessman. Also, he's Mac, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Look at you, mogul. How you doing today? And you're all dressed up.
I am dressed up. Hey, I just did Good Morning America, Dan. I have to look.
Oh, okay. I like that. I like that.
My mom just texted me. She said, "Oh, wow, you're famous. You're on TV." I said, "Mom, I've been on TV for 20 years."
Now, my mom used to critique me when I was on SportsCenter. She would say, "Your hair." She goes. At one point, she said, "Are you coloring your hair?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Stop." And then she said, "That tie doesn't go with that outfit." Now, would your mom do that to you, big-time star, co-owner of a soccer club with Ryan Reynolds?
My guess is I'll get some notes. I'm going to get some notes later on today. But for now, it's just all love and support. She's proud of me that I finally made it, onto TV after all this time.
Yeah, we're proud of you. We're proud of you. And you look like you're in great shape. I can't help but think back when you put on, 50 pounds? For a season. Now, do you meet with a doctor to strategically put on 50 pounds for your character?
Yes, I actually put on 60, and I tried to do it as healthy as possible. So I would go in and I would sit with a nutritionist and a doctor, and I had to eat, 6 chicken breasts and 4 cups of rice, and eventually your stomach just can't handle it. And then the nutritionist was like, "Look, you can either eat, a pound, these 4 chicken breasts and all these vegetables, or you can eat 1 Big Mac and get the same amount of calories." So then I turned to my doctor, and my doctor was like, "Look, I'm just going to level with you, man. There is no healthy way to put on 60 pounds in 3 months. So just go for it." So that's what I did.
But is this your Robert De Niro moment? Were you appropriately noticed for, De Niro does this for Raging Bull, and, we're still talking about it. Did you get enough credit for getting fat?
No, absolutely not, Dan. And I can tell you I'd like to be a part of the conversation. If we're talking about legendary performances.
You're right.
I don't know why this wasn't mentioned, but I'm sure if you asked my mom, she probably didn't even see the season.
The worst day you've had so far as co-owner of Wrexham was what? When?
Wow. I would say when we saw a very terrible and tragic draw. It's just something that's anathema to American sports. But it was, I would say, like the losses, the wins and the losses, they happen. The draws are just devastating. And I had all of my friends and my family in my bar in Philadelphia, and it was the game was actually being broadcast, and it was like so exciting because everybody had come together, and it was a Saturday afternoon, and everybody was drinking, and it was a 0-0 draw.
There you go.
It was just devastating.
You got, and learning it. How much of a soccer fan were you prior to this?
Well, first of all, Dan, I have to call it football, otherwise I will get stabbed when I go to Wales. So I'm gonna call it football and American football.
Okay. All right.
So I didn't really know much about football at all. But it's the biggest sport in the world. As you know, I'm a massive American sports fan, and yet I never really watched a lot of football. But over the pandemic, I was just, as we all were, I was desperate to watch anything. There was no live sports for a year. So I would just go back and watch all these documentaries, anything I could get my hands on. And I started watching all these football documentaries. And then I started watching the old games from the Premier League, starting from the 60s all the way up.
Did you watch Sunderland Till I Die?
I did. Yeah.
And that's what I thought when I initially heard that you and Pretty Boy bought this soccer team, that I didn't even get a smile off Pretty Boy with Ryan.
I take that very seriously. He is exceptionally pretty.
Okay.
And I actually call him that on a regular basis, and I appreciate that it's catching on.
But I did wonder about that when I heard you guys were buying this football club, that if you watch these documentaries, like, you understand you can't be a poser going in there. Like, you got to be like, do you care And they're trying to gauge, do you really know what this means to me and how this hurts us? When we lose, it hurts the entire town. It's like a college football team. Did they test you? How did they test you of how much you love Wrexham?
Yes, yes. So that's actually documented in the very first episode. We had this Zoom with thousands of members of the community that were on it, and we were asked questions about our intentions, about our business plan, and we had to present it to the entire town. And the reason, and they had to vote, and the vote, I don't want to give anything away, but the vote was almost unanimous in the affirmative, and the reason is because they recognize that I love my community, the community I grew up in Philadelphia, and I love the Eagles and the Phillies and the Flyers and the Sixers with such passion. And the reason isn't because of what happens on the court or the rink or the pitch, but as you know, you make a living out of it. Sports is storytelling, and that's what we recognize, is that we don't really invest in the sport itself. We invest in the people that are playing it, and we invest in the people who we are watching it with and experiencing it with.
Yeah, and you just see what it means to them, and when they talk about it's not life or death, it's more than that. I think is the quote that's in the trailer there. But when you go there, it's one thing to be on a Zoom call, then you go into the pubs.
Yeah,
what's that feeling like?
I can tell you. Okay, so this is really strange, and to just put this into historical context, we just purchased the stadium, because we're going to do a bunch of renovations on it. And you have to really look at it more as a restoration program than a renovation, because it's hallowed ground. We don't really have anything like this. So our version of it would be, Wrigley or even Yankee Stadium or something along those lines. But the truth is that the racecourse ground which is the stadium where we play, when it was originally built, Thomas Jefferson was the president of the United States. So we don't have anything like that here. It became a football ground in 1864. While we were in the middle of a civil war, the soccer club, the football club that Ryan and I purchased, was being incorporated. You realize that this is in their DNA. So everywhere you go, you have to walk around with a sense of reverence and respect. However, they also want to win. And that's what we're bringing in, a completely different ethos and trying to figure out ways in which we can give this club the opportunity to win and win consistently.
You can't use ethos over there. Come on. I mean, you could use that on Good Morning America, but come on. You can't go
culture,
and I'm going to change the ethos. And then somebody's like, what's the ethos mean? What's ethos?
No, then I go, Pretty Boy said it. And then they're like, what?
But, knowing Ryan's sense of humor, do you ever have to elbow him and go, hey, don't be goofing around here, man?
Okay, yes. So yes, this exact thing happened. So Ryan wasn't even a massive sports fan. He's an entrepreneur, and he's a businessman, and he's truly a great guy. And I knew that I wanted to work with him in some capacity. I needed a business partner, but he doesn't really understand the culture of sports. And so when we went over there and we watched them, the first game that we saw them play, they lost. Okay. So these guys are playing for their lives. They don't have Premier League contracts. I mean, they're very modest salaries at this level. So we lost the game, and we go into the locker room after the game to console the guys. Well, he went in thinking, well, I'll cheer them up. And he starts telling jokes. He's telling jokes to these guys. And I'm like, Ryan, they're not playing. Your jokes are not playing. Your jokes barely play out in Hollywood. They're not playing. People are getting sick of your shit, man. Like, how many Deadpools do you think you can throw out there? But eventually people are going to get sick of it. It's certainly not going to play in the locker room of a Welsh football team after they've just lost. And certainly they did not. So I'm like elbowing him to shut up.
Who do you get recognized? Who do people think you look like when they meet you? Do you ever get, a doppelganger here?
Yeah. So I've gotten quite a few, but the one that I'm most proud of, and then was equally humiliated by, was I had a hat on. It was really low, and I was in pretty good shape, and I was out to eat. And this guy comes up to me. He's like, "Oh man, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan." I said, "Oh, awesome, thank you." And he goes, "Can I take a photo?" And I say, "Sure." So we take a photo, and he goes, "Oh man, The Departed was my favorite movie." And I was like, "Well, pick a guy in The Departed. I'm happy to be him, but I'm not him." And he goes, "Oh yeah, Mark. Yeah, Mark. Mark." I'm like, "Oh, you think I'm Mark Wahlberg?" And he goes, "Oh, oh, sorry." He goes, "You're messing with me. You're messing with me." And I go, "Okay, buddy." And he walks away. So then I'm like, "All right, that's cool." He thought I look like Mark Wahlberg. So about a year later, I'm out to dinner with friends and I meet Mark Wahlberg. And I tell him the story and how excited I was. And Mark just looks at me and he goes,
Oh.
"I don't get it." He goes, "You look more like Seth MacFarlane than you look like me." And I was like,
I could see Seth MacFarlane. Yeah, like a younger Seth MacFarlane. Like
Yeah,
a less successful Seth MacFarlane. Wait, are you going to take off your shirt?
yeah, I'll take off my jacket.
Oh, okay. Oh, gun show there.
I'll do the Mark Wahlberg thing. He's always on
I know.
Instagram at 4:00 in the morning. He's working out.
I know. Hey, congrats on the show.
Thank you.
And more importantly, don't screw up Wrexham.
We're trying. In fact, we have a whole episode that airs. It airs next week. Where we do a whole episode of SportsCenter. We have Ryan and I as SportsCenter anchors, and we're kind of talking about the season. And so I just want you to know that, as I've mentioned to you before when we met years ago, that I'm a massive fan of yours, and I stole everything that I possibly could from you. And I hope I did you justice.
I was out on the set. Were we on the Sony? Where were we?
Fox Lot.
Okay. So we're walking around and I'm meeting with Rob. I have a business venture here. I go in and I'm there on the set and it's a big deal and he's saying nice things and I'm going, we're in business together. And then just like Hollywood, I think I got, what do they call it? The Hollywood goodbye or no? They never call you back.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that's actually not what happened. I'm going to tell you all your listeners right now.
Okay.
It was the opposite. It was the opposite. I got a call saying, Dan would like to go in another direction. That's the Hollywood way to
That is not true. That is not true. My direction would always lead to you. It's one direction.
What was Harry Styles in One Direction?
Yes. Hell yes, he was.
See, that's how old I am. No, Jeff Schaefer.
Yes.
It was Jeff Schaefer.
Yes.
I'm going to get Jeff Schaefer on the phone and we're going to call you back.
I could have been your business partner in Wrexham. Somebody who cared. We could have.
Dan, do you have as much money as Ryan Reynolds?
I don't think many people do.
No. Then I don't think you'd be as good.
Wait, are you only in business with Ryan Reynolds because he has money?
He's pretty.
Okay.
Okay. What else is
it? Congrats on your success and good luck to your Eagles this year. You're gonna win the division.
I think so, right?
Yeah, I'm a fan of Jalen Hurts. I think it's a good team, good offensive line, you're not going to get relegated.
We will not be relegated. I do believe we will win the NFC East, and I don't know. Once you're in there, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you again. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, buddy. I hope you made Mom proud. Rob McElhenney, the welcome to Wrexham